Hi there everyone, this is Chris Lafleur back in the tasting room, and we are tasting Lot 894. This is a Merlot from the Columbia Valley in Washington. Now I know this primarily comes from the Yakima region, where the winemaker there has a huge portfolio of Merlot. They tend to be hitting the 60 plus price point, but they could be going 90 plus honestly with the quality. You'll see on our website that we are not even close to that price, so this makes for a steal if you like Merlot. Now I know that Merlot can be pretty polarizing for some people, especially Paul Giamatti, but in this particular case, I think it's worth a little bit of your time. So let's have a smell and see what we can pull out of here. Right away, we've got a beautiful dark color. This is still a young wine, so it's not gonna show as much bricking around the edges. We're gonna see still pretty thorough ruby color right out to the ends. And that suggests to me that with a wine like this, you could probably lie it down for longer just by the color. But on the nose, there is a bouquet of fruit. Oh my. There's a lot of dark cherry, a little bit of raspberry, blackberry, plum. Oh, and it feels like it's leaning into the slightly more than ripe side. Not quite jammy, not stewed by any means, but there's a lot of it here and it feels really powerful. I'm also getting a little bit of baking spice with just a hint of toast. So I think that probably means it spends a little bit of time in oak, which is great. The wines like this can use that to help them calm down a little bit. Now let's see how we feel on the palate. Wow, that's even opening up the longer this is open. So, full disclosure, I tasted this wine and I found it to be a little bit tight on the palate, and I still do. But even with a little bit of time open, I think it's really coming into itself. So here's what we have. We've got a lot of tannin on the tongue. It's feeling very fine, kind of sandy. Merlot tannins, textbook, but it's something that I think will also release itself in time. So if you age this for even another 6 months, maybe up to a year, maybe even longer, which I think it could handle, you're gonna get a much more refined expression on the palate. Now the fruit also changes a little bit from being really ripe on the nose to being slightly underripe, maybe just barely ripe, and it also has a green note that feels a little bit like green pepper. I think it adds a lot of complexity, but it does say to me, this is a young wine. Nothing wrong with that. It means that if you get a case of this, or maybe even like 6 bottles of this, every time you open it, you're gonna notice an evolution. So, where does this fit in your cellar? Well, if you like to see how wine changes, maybe you're someone that's exploring the way that wine develops, this is a great wine to start with. If you drink it in 2 months and then drink it 4 months later, and 4 months after that, or a year after that, you're gonna see a distinct evolution of this wine, going from being a little bit tight and a little green to fully developed, showing itself really, really well with a lot of fruit and a lot of toast. So I think that's worth exploring on its own. But aside from that, if you do decide to drink it now, let it decant for about an hour, open up the bottle and let it rest in the glass. You're gonna find that this is a wine that I think will handle your heaviest steaks, whether this is with your ribeye, whether this is the strip loin with the big fat cap on the side. This is a great versatile wine. So with that, I will see you at the next glass.